Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 84. Today is the first day of a mini-series we're doing with 3 real Zimmerman students who took my course, Know Your Numbers, Annual Planning for Your Best Year. Today, we're sitting down with Stephanie Petrak of Lorraine's Cottage. Stephanie is sharing how Know Your Numbers gave meaning to her money, allowing her to support herself doing work she loved so that she could live and fund the life she always wanted. I'm so excited for you all to hear hard-earned wisdom from a real Zimmerman student. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to 3, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast, Stephanie.
Thanks so much for having me, Jessica.
This is going to be really fun. Okay, so before we dive in, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Stephanie. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and my business is Lorraine's Cottage, where I handcraft wreaths and floral arrangements out of artificial flowers. So I sell them online, and I'm a solopreneur, so I'm the only one, and I work out of my home.
Wow. Yeah. Like so many people listening, I'm sure, are just working out of their home, doing their thing. So this is going to be good. It's going to be good. So how did you first dive into Zimmerman education?
I believe I first heard about you when you first launched Business Behind the Blooms. I think I heard it from Katie Selvage when she had Cottage Hill magazine still. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, it might be interesting to work with fresh florals one day in the future. So I just perused the course, looking at what you do, and I just became hooked with your teachings right then and there. So I've been religiously following you ever since.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you. I love Katie Selvage. She is the best. She is one of my nearest and dearest friends. I love her. She is so great. And we met actually on Instagram. Like we met and now we meet up for lunch every few months and stuff. So she's been such a wonderful person to have in my life. So I love that. So the course we're going to talk about today is not Business Behind the Blooms, but it's a program that is called Know Your Numbers. And I only named it that because I really can't call it, overhaul your life and your business if if you have one, so you can stop floundering and start doing what you want to do and being who you want to be. You can't really call it that. So I ended up calling it Know Your Numbers. And it really is my annual planning, what I do every single year. If you had to kind of name the course or just kind of share like what it's done for you in your life, what would you call it?
Yeah, I would call it confidence and business booster. 2019 was a really rough year for me. So coming out of that year, I had that going into the program, and that's why I signed up for it. I was dealing with some health issues. Thankfully, I'm doing better now. And then on top of that, my business sales were really increasing in 2019. I was so busy working all of the time. But by the end of the year, I looked at the, profit and loss statement at the end of the year, and I'm like, I only made this much money after all that hard work and sacrifice, especially when I wasn't feeling well. It didn't seem worth it. So I really needed the confidence to charge more, charge my worth, charge so that I can make a good profit because I am a business and you need profit in order to grow the business. So that was the main reason why I took the course, and it definitely helped me do that. So I raised my prices this year, and I just feel so much better about my business finances moving forward.
I love that. Tell me about there's several modules in it, but what was your favorite? Like what was the one that you just went, "Oh my gosh, this is so like this is a life-changing moment."
I love the big picture planning. I'm such a visionary person. I One of my core values is living like your most beautiful life and living on purpose. So just going through all of that before you actually get to the numbers was so much fun for me. It just let my soul fly free. And just really to focus back in on why we have our own business. I'm sure a lot of us start our own businesses so we can have a life that we want. But in all of that, the business starts to take over our life as we try to grow it and actually get to living the life we want. So that was my favorite module, just to write all those things down, have them just on a physical piece of paper, and just to focus on it as you go through your business throughout the year, really, really helped.
Yeah, I love that module too. It really is my favorite. It's module 1 and it's called Big Picture Planning like Stephanie said, and we really get to the root of what you really want for your life. And we kind of focus on how we're going to do that over the next 12 months. And I ask more on who do you want to be than really what do you want to do? Like how do you really want to live your life? How do you want to spend your days? And you might be surprised, at how your priorities change after just a little bit of digging and someone asking, you these questions. Because I know for me, oftentimes as a business owner, people aren't asking me a lot of questions, other than how to help with their business. But it's that's why I go to therapy every week, so I can have somebody challenge me and ask me questions because it helps, it gives me a big dose of clarity. And so I think that by me asking these questions to you guys through module 1, um, kind of through this signature process and with the help of some really simple charts and graphs, then we simplify, your ideal life and we reverse engineer your path to living your dreams. And that's really what that module is all about. So I'm so glad that you loved that.
Yeah, it was definitely very helpful. It got me back on track. And I think it's so important to do that before you look at the numbers, because then it gives meaning when you actually do go through all the finances, both your personal and your business. It just makes everything make so much more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I know when people get in there, they just want to get right to the finances. And it is amazing. I really have to talk a lot in that module 1 and explain why this is so crucial. And I'm like, if you'll just give me this 1 week to get through module 1, I promise you module 2 and module 3 are going to be so much better because module 2 is where we really dive into your personal finances. Module 3, we dive into your business finances. Module 4, we really kind of prep for the year and I show you kind of how to do the spring cleaning of your business and how to set yourself up for success for the next year. And in module 5, we talk about annual goals, how to set those, how to achieve them, and everything. And that those are all 2 through 5 are very kind of action oriented, like here's how to steps. And module 1 is more we got to kind of think this thing through. And, oftentimes people want to get right to the, just tell me what to do. And module 1, it really kind of changes. I think if there was no module 1, modules 2 through 5 would look completely different, like for you example, like Stephanie's end result would probably have looked so different, but because she did module 1, it really helped put her into the life that she really genuinely deep down wants, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh, it's all absolutely true. Yep.
In Know Your Numbers, we only look at a year at a time. We don't make a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. We look at a year at a time. And that is how I just, that's what I do in my own life. I think that I'm very futuristic and it's easy for me to kind of look ahead. And it's actually more difficult for me to look more presently. And my brain is just wired that way. And so this program it that I created, it really was to help me kind of go, okay, you don't have to know what's going to be in 5 years. Let's just look at this year. Let's create a plan for this year. Well, obviously, a year ago when we were going through this program, because we I taught you this in January of 2020, and there's no way we could have predicted what this year was going to look like with COVID-19. How has Know Your Numbers helped you adjust and adapt in this season? And how do you think it would have been different had you not gone through Know Your Numbers right before this?
Yeah, so I think the Know Your Numbers program gave me like a solid path for the year. So it's like I knew where I was going, I knew what I needed to do, I knew what my goals were. So those were already solidified in my mind before COVID happened. So then when it actually did happen, I didn't feel as shaken as other business owners seem to have been, because I knew like this is my path, and I'm just going to stick to it, adjust as I need to. I already had an online business, so thankfully, I didn't have to make a huge pivot in how I sold my items. I think my main pivot was making items at a lower price point since a lot of my items were more luxury items. And, just with the economy and people losing their jobs, they're not spending as much on home decor. So that really helped me get through that season, through the summer and into fall, where, things are lightening up a little bit and people tend to spend more in the fall. And just having that framework from Know Your Numbers, just gave me the confidence to keep going on the path, even though there's so much chaos going on. And just with personal finances, it was great to know where we stood as things were happening. So if, God forbid, we had something happen in our lives where we would lose an income, we knew where we stood. We knew we would be set, and that Know Your Numbers kept that in front of our minds. And I'm just really thankful for the program because it kept us sane during that time. We didn't have to freak out because we knew we were solid. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And I want to talk for a second about those things that you said. Number one, about the confidence. Gosh, I just think that's like the best compliment that anybody could give. It's like a gift that you can give me by saying that, because I think that when we become confident in something, we become, we kind of start stepping into our best selves. We're no, because when we don't know the answers, it's just easy to question and we worry and so when we know the answers, we just become more confident in things. And so I love that. And I also think that when we have a plan, like, even though this year was insane and COVID happened, no one planned for that, but we had a plan of how we would spend the money that is coming in, and how we would, like, what we actually needed to make in our business. Like, what did we actually need? And so just knowing those things is super helpful, and it gives you so much peace of mind, I think, because you know the answers, and wow, I don't have to sell as many wreaths as I thought I had to sell because I only need this much. What do you think? And I love the personal finance module. Had you ever really looked at your personal finances like that before?
So I'm kind of a nerd and I have. So actually that module was actually pretty easy for me because everyone was kind of griping about going through everything that they spent their money on for every month of a year, where I already had that done. So all I had to do was just put it into, your worksheets that you had. So yeah, I've been budgeting ever since I learned it in high school, with the personal finances. So it's like I knew exactly where our money was going. There was like a few things, that you think how much you're spending, but then once you like really look at it, you're like, oh well, I think we can cut this. But yeah, it was just good to take another deep dive into the personal finances and just to see that we're on track, we're doing well, we're taken care of. And another surprising thing in the personal finance, for me, was the net worth sheet. I never thought, yeah, I need to bother with my net worth because I'm not like a millionaire or anything. But it was really fascinating to know that, we have more assets than we thought. So again, that just adds to the confidence that this course, gives you. So it was really good.
Right. Oh, good. I love that. I love that. And I want to talk about, you had mentioned the word budget earlier, and I just wanted to talk about that word for a second because I think a lot of people hear that word and they think, oh, that's just so restrictive. Like, I don't want to have a budget because then I can't spend what I want to spend. And I actually find it to be the opposite. I actually find it to be really freeing. I think somewhere down the line, budget got a bad rep. And I think, you know how someone asks you, "We're doing a girls' weekend and we're gonna go out of town. Can you come with us?" And you immediately kind of panic and you go, "Well, I'm gonna have to get back with you. I'm not sure," because you have no idea if you have the money for it or not. You have no clue. And I just think, isn't it really freeing when you just know that at the beginning of the year? Or like for me, I do this program every year in November. And so that way I can kind of go through the holidays and then January, like I'm good to go. I know what's happening. I know what my plan is for the year as far as my money. And so whenever anyone asks me to do something or if I want to buy a new pair of jeans or whatever, like I know the money is there because I've allotted for it. And I actually think it's really freeing. So I just don't want the word budget to kind of to scare anybody. Um
Yes, no, it shouldn't. It's so freeing. It's like once you know like how much money you have and where you're the one that tells the money where to go, So and that gives you so much more freedom in that. It doesn't add to your anxiety when you just have no idea what's going on in the bank account and like where it's going. So, and you might be surprised to, with a few little adjustments that, I mean, you could be doing things you didn't realize you could be doing just because you didn't know.
If you want to build a great business or live a good life, you've got to plan for it. Every year, I take a whole month to reevaluate the past 12 months and figure out what worked, what didn't, and how I can create a life I love for the following year. I teach you my exact planning process in my program, Know Your Numbers, Annual Planning for Your Best Year. If you want a free training to get some tips on planning your best year yet, go to zimmermanpodcast.com/know your numbers. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/know your numbers. I find it really fascinating that, and listen, I'm right there with this statement because I didn't know until I, learned it myself and did my own research and hired financial advisors and CPAs and things to help me figure it out and hired one of the best CPAs in the country to help me make this spreadsheet that's in Know Your Numbers. And man, I just think that so many of us, we learned things in school like, the what's it called? The periodic table? I don't even know. I memorized it for a test and then I forgot it.
Yep,
We
me
learn
too.
things like this, but we right, but we don't learn the things that we actually need to know, like this, like financing. I mean, I remember, um, after I left my parents' house, getting something in the mail about my car needing to be assessed. I'd never heard that in my life. I was like, what does that mean to assess your car? I don't know. And it's just like when you know better, you do better. And all this is just giving you the knowledge that honestly we all should have gotten in junior high and high school. And it's sad that we didn't, but the sooner we know it, the more freeing it is. And so I really just come from a place of there's zero shame if you don't know these answers. Like if you don't know what you should be spending personally, what you should be saving, what you should be spending business, how you should be pricing things. Like if you don't know those things, it's okay because most of us don't. And I hope that I teach it in a way that's really welcoming and inviting and, judgment free, a judgment free zone, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. No, you definitely do.
Are you able to elaborate on that at all just about the teaching style, like the video and the teaching style and all of that?
Yeah, so that was one of the things I was really drawn to you even from the beginning was that you're very vulnerable and real, but you give tough love business advice. It's solid. It's applicable to so many different types of businesses. So in the Know Your Numbers program, there's so many worksheets and questions that take you through it all, so it's not overwhelming. You take everyone step by step through this big topic of your finances, both in life and business. And then the videos were more engaging with you, just to hear you talk about it and your stories interwoven, and how you came to learn all of this was super helpful, just to know that you've been there too. Like, I'm not the only one messing up on how much I need to spend on my cost of goods sold this year. So those are really helpful. And then the Facebook group, I think we did those like once a week during the course. So that was really great to get some one-on-one time with you and ask questions if we needed. So it's all very approachable, but you are very knowledgeable. You know your stuff, and I trust you completely.
Mm. Well, thank you. How do you think Know Your Numbers helped you change your mentality of focusing more on who you're becoming and less on what you're doing? More about the journey and less about the destination.
Yeah, so before my mentality was, if I work hard enough, if I get my business going, that I'll make enough money and then I can live the life I want. That was my whole mindset as I've been growing this business. And then in 2019, I just burned out from it. I was so tired, I was frustrated, and I'm just like, there has to be more. So that was another reason why I took the course, because I just wanted to live life while I'm building the business to get to my big dreams, which is why I've started the business in the first place. So now my mentality is that I can live my life while I'm building the business, that I can adjust my schedule even though I have a lot of work to do, to stop and go for lunch with my mom, or just to go take a walk in the neighborhood. I don't have to be chained to my desk all the time working just for the business so that one day I can have freedom. Where it's like, you have the choice now to have the life you want, even though it might not be your ultimate end goal right now. You can still live aspects of that now as you're building. So that was a huge mindset shift for me this year. So this year I scheduled in more margin in my days. I know one of the modules you mentioned to know thyself.
Yes,
And
know that.
that's, yes. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment for me, because I'm like, wow, yeah, it's like I'm a person that needs some space in my day. So I was able to just prioritize that if I want to go take a walk right now, I can, and then, I'll finish my work at this time. But
You
just
can and you should.
exactly, exactly. Where it's like last year, I was just chained to work, and I'm just like, if I could just get through this mountain, I'll have a better life. But it's like, you're not guaranteed that. It's like, today is what you have. It's like, you should be living your life now. So, yeah. So even though 2020 has been difficult year, outside in the world, I've felt just more free because, like I said, I put more margin in my life. So it's been wonderful.
I love hearing that. That's so good. Because I created this program, I obviously think I like it. I think it's good.
Yes.
But I make my whole family participate, every year when I plan my year in every November. So you have lifetime access to the course this year. Are you doing it again? Are you making anyone go through it with you? Like, are you excited to revisit it?
Oh yeah, I've already been thinking about it. I'm just like, oh yeah, I get to do the course again soon. I'm
Yes,
so
it's great. I
dorky.
get
Like,
so excited. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about that a few weeks ago. I'm like, oh, I get to do the course again and plan for next year, make it even better. So yeah, I'm totally excited. I love planning, And I love this kind of planning because it combines like the big visionary planning with like real numbers, stepping stones on how to actually get there. So that always gets me really excited for the end of the year. And hopefully my husband can go through it too. So far, I've been the one that handles the finances in our household. And he just kind of gets like a little status update once in a while. So I think it'll be good for him to go, yeah, actually go through it, like the vision planning and all of that as well. Because he's looking to make more of his life as well. So I think he would really benefit from the big picture planning too. And then just to, see our finances again and where we are and to move on from there. So I think it'd be really good for him to go through it too.
I had a student once who, she told me, and I loved this so much. I was like, I get it. She said, these are questions that I have just always wanted to know. She said her husband always did the finances. And she said, and there's things I've wanted to him to do, like big picture planning and stuff, but he just wouldn't do it with me. Like he wouldn't listen to me, like ask him these questions. He'd be like, what, it doesn't matter. I pay it. Don't worry about it. And she said, but having you ask the questions, like, so watching the videos and having me, Jessica, be like, here's what I need you to ask yourself, or here, she said it gave her, like, it took the pressure off her, but it gave her all the answers she needed. And there were things that, he just kind of thought, we're fine. Like, we don't, I don't need to tell you all that. There's no reason for you to worry. Like, he was coming from a protective place. And in the video, I kind of share like why it's really important that both of you know these things and everything. And so it was really freeing for her, and I loved that. So I love that you're going to go through it with your husband. I think that's really good. And I think that a lot of the spouses that do go through it, they are appreciative of it at the end. I think they roll their eyes a little bit at the very beginning at the thought of it, but then they're appreciative at the end. So that's cool. And I just want to remind everybody that this program is available and you can do it whenever you want to. It is video based and I walk you through it step by step. I choose to do it every November. Some people choose to do it in December, some in January. Some people do it in the summer because they have slower months in the summer. Whenever you want to do it is when you need to do it. Like I said, it's completely video led. You get lifetime access to it. And so you get to do it over and over again, which I think is incredible every year. What is one way that you've changed this year that you don't think would have happened without Know Your Numbers?
So, one of the things that we do in the course is to write down three big goals for the year. And while I've like written down goals before, I've always like fallen off the wagon and, making them a reality. So this course keeps you on track because there are sheets that you work on each month. You do like status updates and reviews of what's going on in your business and your life. That helped me to come up with big goals, to actually write them down and to actually pursue them. And one of the goals I wrote down was to become like a blogger and an author. I've been thinking about writing for years and years now, and it's just starting to like nag inside of me like, oh, you should really become a writer now. You should become a writer now. So this year, in the Know Your Numbers program, I wrote that down as one of my big goals. Well, in April of this year, I actually got a book deal. So,
Awesome.
yeah, thank
Congratulations.
you. And it's just one of those things where there's just so much power in actually writing it down and putting your goals out there. So, I think if I didn't have this program and I didn't actually write that down that I wanted to be an author, I don't think that book deal would have came to me. So it's just mind blowing to me because I didn't ask for it. I didn't work for it yet. I mean, I just been writing on my own on the side, but just to have that come to me was fantastic. So I get to check that big goal off for the year. Yeah.
That is incredible. Congratulations. And I just know that's a module that we talk about. And I really say you have got to put your goals out there, like your dreams. You've got to write those down and that because those become our thoughts, and our thoughts really do create our reality. And so I say that sometimes and people roll their eyes, but it is the truth. And I think I give examples even in the program, in the videos of past vision boards that I've made. And I'm just like, how on earth did this happen? I don't know. Like you can't kill your dream with the how. I talk a lot about that. You just have to put your dream out there. And the safest, I think, way to do that is to just write it down. So I love that. I love that. That is such a good answer. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for, making me write it down. So it's like I'm a total believer now.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. In all the years I've been showing up online, teaching business education webinars, or sharing about my life in Instagram stories, there's one question I get more than any other. What kind of skincare do you use? For years, I had a pretty disappointing answer: a bar of soap. But as I started prioritizing my own wellness and stopped feeling guilty for investing time and taking care of myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, I knew I needed to up my skincare game. Enter Leah Black Skincare. While I love literally every Leah Black skincare product I've tried, my favorite by far is the CBD Soothing Eye Cream, which can make me look rested and energized even after late nights up with the kids or prepping for a new course launch. I'm convinced that the CBD infused cream makes my eyes look bright and smooth, and I swear it even makes me feel more awake. Whether I'm hitting the road with my family, preparing for a day of Zoom meetings, or getting a full face of makeup on to do some book press, I'm so thankful to be using products that really work. If you want to try some Leah Black products like her soothing CBD eye cream, go to leahblack.com and use code JESS40 for 40% off. That's JESS40 at LEABLACK.com. Okay, so I'm going to adjust my usual end of interview question for this. As you're getting ready to work through the course for 2021, what's one thing that you definitely want to do in 2021? And what's one thing you want to incorporate into your daily routine in 2021 that you think would be the most life changing?
So I think one thing I want to do in 2021 is to hire my first team member. Like I said, I've been doing this business solo the entire time, and I'm looking to grow the business. And I think it would just be extremely helpful to have a team member to take off some of the responsibilities that while I do them, that I'm not best suited for, when I could focus on my strengths, which is like another topic that's discussed in the course as well, focusing on your strengths. So I'd really like to hire a team member to take off those other things so that I could focus on growing. And then for my daily routine, I think I would like to add doing yoga every day. I did it in the past and then I stopped. But when I did do it, I really enjoyed it. I felt so much more calmer and just focused for the day. So I really would like to get back into doing that.
That's a good answer. I like that. Those are both very good. Well, I have no doubt that you're going to make that happen because you're going to go through this program again. You're going to write these things down, and it is going to just be a commitment that you do. I know it will be. So, finally, what would you say to someone listening right now who is considering, going to know your numbers education and perhaps purchasing this program? Like maybe they're on the fence or maybe they're thinking, should I even look that up? I don't know. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so I was on the fence for a while too, because I follow you religiously. So it's like I heard every time you talked about it, every live that you did talking about it, I was listening and I'm like, oh, that sounds so great. But I'm just like, oh, like, I don't know if I should spend that money right now. And just going back and forth, back and forth. And then you talked about, living, your best life now because you're not guaranteed another day. I just remember there was one live you did and like you told this story and it just hit me so hard. I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of, going back and forth about this. I'm just going to do it. So I tell anyone who's on the fence thinking about doing it, just dive in and do it. It will pay for itself so many times over. You will feel so much more free, so much more confident, and you get results. It's not, just ideas in your head. You actually have, you lay the groundwork to actually do these things and to live your dreams. So totally worth it. Just do it.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. I think that this is probably the one program that it's like, it's heart work as well, like HEART. Like it's heart work, it's soul work. And you don't have to have a business to go through this program. You would just skip the business module, but then there are four other modules that just work beautifully. So it really is about living your best year about living your best year, whether you have a business or you don't, whether you have a family or you don't. It's just all about how to kind of be in tune with yourself and what you really want, how you want to live, and how you use your money in the process to be able to give you that life.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you don't need, to have a business to go through the program. Like I wish I'd gone through this program years and years ago.
Me too.
But yeah, it's like, wow, it's just that helpful. And it's just so holistic to just like your whole life. So yeah, I totally agree.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for just being on the podcast today and for sharing your story. I know that people will appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for just being vulnerable with us and sharing everything you learned. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
If someone wants to check you out, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my business is lorrainescottage.com, LORRAINES. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Lore Cottage.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your Know Your Numbers story, Stephanie. I love that Stephanie is a self-described nerd who was already doing the financial work, but needed to give meaning to her money in order to make her daily work align with the life she wanted to be living. This course helps you do the financial work and the heart work so that your life and your bank account finally work together. If you want to get a taste of the program Stephanie loves so much, I have good news for you. I have a free class that teaches you how to live, love, and fund your dream life. Go to the link in today's show notes to sign up for this free class, and I'll see you back here next week on Zimmerman Podcast.